either younger than us or, passed and retired. So why not? I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, and why not, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford is said to welcome a fight idea suggested by Floyd Mayweather during a live talk with Stephen A. Smith. Crawford shares that boxing for him is about pushing boundaries and taking on challenges no matter how large they appear. He believes the top fighters should compete against each other and clearly states that he is ready to rise again. With steady confidence, Crawford makes it clear that facing Mayweather is just another opportunity to prove his ability and exceed expectations.
This is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy,
Stephen A. Smith is well known for speaking his mind in sports, and boxing is no different. When he gives credit to Terence Crawford for earning world titles in 4 weight classes, it carries real weight and points to something rarely seen today. At a time when many fighters stay in one division to avoid danger, Crawford winning titles across 4 weights puts him in a class few can touch. Stephen A. says this level of versatility and control shows that Crawford belongs among the top fighters in the world. It shows not just his ability to adapt physically, but also his sharp skills, strong mindset, and constant hunger to test himself against tougher opponents.
Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab. He used his distance. He had poise in the ring. He wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
Roy Jones Jr., a respected boxing legend who understands what it takes to succeed in multiple weight classes, gave strong praise to Crawford for his skill and ring awareness. He explained that in the fight against Canelo Alvarez, Crawford showed the ability to take smart ideas from the styles used by Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, who both challenged Canelo in different ways. Jones feels Crawford stands apart because he studies closely, learns quickly, and uses the right strategy at the right moment. This shows that Crawford is not only talented, but also deeply dedicated to understanding the sport. What impressed Jones the most was that Crawford did not simply copy those styles, but adjusted them to fit his own flow, making everything feel natural in the fight. That level of adjustment is what separates him from fighters who rely on one style and struggle when facing elite competition.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome, and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He got
hit with some single shots going out. He's going out and Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming. And several times it landed. He even got hit with a two-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit long.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
Thought of Crawford sharing the ring with Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has caused strong debate among fans and experts. Some critics feel that accepting this kind of fight could hurt Crawford's long-term legacy. They believe that instead of building on major accomplishments like beating Errol Spence and outclassing Canelo Alvarez, he would be choosing money over true competitive greatness. This view comes from the idea that Mayweather's recent fights have been more about big paydays than meaningful career moments. Analysts argue that Crawford has worked too hard with too much discipline to risk being seen as someone who values profit over history. On the other side, many feel Crawford's place in boxing history is already locked in. From that perspective, a fight with Mayweather would simply become another unique and memorable chapter in his journey.
Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
When fans line up the careers of Mayweather and Crawford, the discussion quickly becomes more detailed. Floyd's record shows victories over several fighters considered legends in boxing history. Still, many critics question the timing of those wins. Canelo was young and not fully developed when he fought Mayweather, and Pacquiao entered their long-awaited 2015 bout while carrying an injury. Added to that, Floyd's decision to avoid rematches, especially with Pacquiao, has left lingering doubts among fans. In contrast, Crawford has dominated opponents who were widely viewed as being in their prime when they faced him. This contrast keeps the debate alive about whether Mayweather's unbeaten record came from pure skill or from perfect timing and careful choice of opponents.
Mayweather's still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. It's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20 something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
Tony Jeff, a well-known boxing analyst, has said that Floyd Mayweather's greatest weapon was not only his defense or speed, but his mindset. Jeff explains that Floyd's deep belief in his power to beat anyone made him especially dangerous. Even in fights that appeared evenly matched, Mayweather's confidence in his boxing brain often pushed him ahead. His ability to read opponents, adjust quickly, and stay calm under pressure set him apart from fighters who depended only on raw talent. Jeff also notes that this mental strength mixed with sharp technique made Floyd seem almost impossible to beat, and helps explain why he ended his career without ever losing.
Mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of...
The boxing world is always looking for major fights, and one idea getting a lot of attention is Terence Crawford taking on David Benavidez. Benavidez offers size, strength, and non-stop pressure, which makes him a real threat to any opponent. Fans view this possible matchup as the kind of challenge that could push Crawford to his limits. The talk keeps growing, even though nothing has been made official. This conversation shows what fans truly want, which is risky legacy-shaping fights instead of exhibition matches focused on money rather than competition. Crawford versus Benavidez would bring together skill and power along with precision and force, making it a must-watch bout for many boxing fans.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Madrimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Comparing Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford is a discussion without a clear answer. Both fighters took on the top opponents of their time and earned strong, dominant victories. Floyd's perfect record and elite defensive skills define greatness in his era, while Crawford's ability to rise through weight classes and remain dominant is just as impressive. The comparison is complicated because they competed in different periods under very different conditions, which makes a direct judgment hard. In the end, it may never be possible to clearly choose who is greater, but together they stand as examples of the highest level of excellence in boxing.
My goodness, I said that was going to happen. If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is going to be better. Now, this is going to be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time, while Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. And I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Chancellor Crawford? Let's talk about it. And follow me for more boxing talk.
Greg Hackett comments on Crawford win over Canelo clearly explain the meaning of that fight. By calling Canelo the best boxer in the sport for many years, Hackett shows how dominant and respected he had been for over a decade. Crawford's showing did more than challenge him, it took full control and clearly outperformed him, marking a turning point in boxing. Hackett says Crawford is now the fighter others fear, the one standing at the top. This win did more than add to his record. It changed the boxing picture, making Crawford the man who removed the old king and took the #1 place himself.
You gotta remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark and then you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, yes, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Sure, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money, man. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money, bro. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up, boy?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
Crawford victory over Canelo Alvarez marked a major turning point in his career and erased any remaining doubts. Before that fight, his win over Errol Spence had already quieted many critics who questioned the quality of his opponents. Against Spence, Crawford showed complete control from beginning to end. Still, it was his performance against Canelo, a fighter seen as nearly unbeatable, that truly secured his place in boxing history. Experts now widely agree that these wins prove Crawford belongs among the all-time greats. His skill in defeating champions across multiple divisions shows his dominance beyond question.
There was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing, like there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. Well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that.
All right, everyone, keep following for the latest in boxing news, highlights, events, and inside stories. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Make sure to check out our other videos as well. Until next time, take care and stay safe.